If I told you that I'd been sent the true secret to success with cuttings, would you believe me? Well, in 2023-2024, Gary Brown sent me his 100% foolproof method for obtaining successful cuttings for future bonsai. And I thought, Gary, thanks very much. We're going to try it. And you know what? I got some incredible results. And you might be looking at this table going, wow.
Wow.
That's it. He's got the holy grail of bonsai cuttings. But have I? Or is there a darker secret we all don't want to talk about in bonsai YouTube land? Because I didn't only try Gary Brown's method, I tried my method. I tried late winter, I tried spring, I also tried August cuttings. Because I tell you, not everything went to plan. Didn't stop me, shouldn't stop you. But anyway, if you want to see those 2 years worth of very, very varied results and find out what I think is the best, easiest, cheapest way to take good cuttings from a variety of plants, Chinese elm, trident maple, Japanese maple, larch, Fuji cherry, azalea. The list is endless. Well, I'll tell you what, buckle in, sit down, get a copy and watch on. Hi, it's Xavier and welcome to my bonsai retreat. And today, well, we're going to go through the whole process of taking late winter cuttings from trident maples and the process I go through the year to make them into great future rooted. It's like a tongue twister. This is my 7th take trying to say that. Rooted trident maple stock. Of getting fantastic trident maple rooted cuttings using and getting them to strike and root and produce beautiful and to produce really successful seedlings and to produce really successful rooted cuttings for you to develop into future bonsai. Rooting them, getting them all set up. Bollocks.
He's struggling with his intro, so I came to help. Today he is showing you how to strike his rooted trident maple cuttings. It's not a tongue twister. I don't know what's wrong with him. Rooted trident maple cutting. Rooted trident maple cutting.
You wouldn't strike your rooted, you'd strike your non-rooted trident.
You don't want to strike your rooted trident maple cuttings. You want to strike your non-rooted trident maple cuttings. Is this a trident maple cutting?
Yes.
And how do you strike it? With a
waffly.
bat?
Strike him, St. Joy, very waffly.
Thanks, Kat. It took me, I think that was my 10th take to try and say, you all know what I mean. Basically, on the 27th of February, I took a load of hardwood cuttings off my trident maple for the first spring repot. I like to do my cuttings normally end of May, but I've got a lot of, well, they're probably technically hardwood cuttings because they're last year's shoots. And this will make a good cutting. Here, I'm going to try a heel cutting. With a heel cutting, you just pull away. That bit there is the heel. And I'll put that in water. We'll see how that works out. There we go. That's quite a big piece. And I might actually try and do a nice big cutting out of that. But I've got at least 15, 16 of them. The bigger, thicker ones, what I'll do is I'll use a plastic lid or container to put over the top, keep the humidity in, and they'll probably sit in the cold frame through most of the next couple of months. So I've got my cuttings and I've got a whole load of interesting different thicknesses. I've also got this interesting one here. Does that look interesting to you? It's probably more interesting than listening to me yab. But this was inspired actually by a comment that was made last year in relation to hardwood cuttings by Gary Brown. And he said to me that he has absolutely fantastic success using Coco Coir. I think it's Coco Coir, which I believe is shredded coconut husks. And it's also got about 20% perlite in it. And apparently absolutely brilliant for striking your cuttings off. Now, luckily for you, you won't need to wait very long. Me, I've got another 8 months to wait because we'll see the results probably in late August, early September. So what do you need for this? Well, let's be honest, we've all done cuttings, and for those of you who hadn't, well then you better listen on. I always use my pots, and I've got my Coco Coir. I use numerous different types of rooting gel. This is a liquid one from Westland. Trident maples. I've been able to strike those from, well, I just stick those in the ground and they'll normally root really easily. Sharpened scissors, which have also been cleansed so that I can actually get a nice cut edge. I've got some water to drink when I get very nervous looking into the camera with the lights beaming on the side of my face. Now that's just to mix up with this hardened block, 1 in 15, so 1 kilo of this, which is this, makes up, what's that, 150 kilo, oh I don't know, 15 times that size.
He's a genius.
And I'll make some of that up, and then we're going to put it in the pots. And the only thing I do find is that I'll either use a plastic bag over the pots to complete the humidity, or I'll just put it in this humidity pot tray, and I'll keep that somewhere in the corner of the garden. Put your bets down now in the comments whether you think I'll get 100% or less. Okay, well I'm going to cut a block off, I imagine. This looks harder than I thought it was going to be. I took a 1/15 of that, so 1 litre makes 15, so I probably just need 1/15 of a litre. Don't know, about that much.
This is just painful to watch.
Oh gosh, it expands. I should know it expands. It's expanding rapidly. I need to put more water in there. Goodness. Yeah, small things really please me. What I did think I'd do is do a comparison. So this is what I would normally do my cuttings in, which is a combination of probably 50% vermiculite and 50% standard bonsai potting mix for my mame. So sort of small 2.5 ml grain. So I'll put a few in there. That's the heavy old thing of this coconut coir or whatever. So let's get one of these pots ready, and we'll just pack it in. So there's 2 there, plus my comparison one. I probably need a 4th one. Cutting phase, simple. I've put some of the liquid rooting hormone into the cap. The reason why I do that is so that I dip straight into there. If there's any infections or anything on your cutting, chances are you transfer it to all your rooting hormone, and the rest of anything you use that for will be infected by the same thing. Nice. Now this was one, I believe I did a heel cutting, which is where you rip it off the stem. I'm going to try and get 2. I'm going to be greedy, so we'll go 1, 2, just dip, and I poke in about centimetre and a half. Now I'm going to do the same for the rest of them, and then just show you what I do with this biggie. Okay, so 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, of which 4 are in my standard mix. 1 more left, which is this very, very interesting one. Now, normally that would go in a standard mix and I'd have no problems, but we'll give it lots of rooting hormone, nice and deep. We'll see how that goes. Now, as I said, often the way I will do that is like that, then create the microenvironment there, or indeed a plastic bag sealed. And I know Yella of Growing Bonsai will always advocate that route, and I've had a lot of success with that last year. But I also have no particular problem just putting it in humidifying box, and then all we need to do, put the lid on, and then for now it'll sit in the corner here indoors, and hopefully we're going to see a lot of humidity building up. Well, it's now the 5th of April, It's been very rainy, but we've had loads and loads of blooms and lots of leaf growth. This larch here, absolutely looking fantastic. This is where I've kept them, down here by the toilet drain. Always find that's useful. Not sure why. Should we have a look and see how they're looking? Well, I haven't looked at them since. Obviously came out of the greenhouse. They came out of indoors a while back. That stick there, that's got some green on it. Definitely got one here with green. Those three there don't look so great. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one here. And 3 on this one. So on my set, 1, 2, that looks like it's going to be all right, but that's a dead one. So looking pretty good. And just to see, you can probably see, it's actually stuffed full of water. Always stays damp here, and all I do is probably once every 3 or 4 weeks, just drain that water off. Yeah, not looking like any great difference between the two different methods at the moment, but certainly the coconut coir wasn't a bad idea. And with these in the corner, we'll probably revisit them again in, I don't know, another 6 weeks. And to just keep things in context and to be fair, yes, we can advocate lots of different methods and we'll keep following that. But here I've got cuttings everywhere from all sorts of stuff. These are tridents, big thick one there. I took these same sort of time, give or take a week. No rooting hormone powder, nothing, just the standard vermiculite. And looks like certainly 2 of the 3 have taken, and maybe the 3rd will a bit later on. So it's 17th of May, and I think we're all going to have to take this update on my cuttings lying down. I don't know if you remembered, but when I was playing around with the hawthorn, I did 3 cuttings. They're definitely dead. But looking at these ones, it really has gone really quite bad over the last month. And yes, some of you may say, well, why did you take it out of the covered dome? And really, from my experience, they'd reached a point when I looked at them where they weren't going any further. So they started to get that fine green film. Having seen that film, I recognised that they were just getting too humid, not enough airflow. So they came out here, still protected. Yeah, it hasn't been a good year. And really, my approach and technique, although I've used the Coco Coir, that's pretty well had the same sort of results as when I use my standard mix there. I mean, although there's 2 left showing green leaves on that, they don't look that healthy. There's very few of these. I think there's probably 1 here, maybe. This one here, that potentially is going to be good. The rest of these I really think are just hanging on. That one may come through all right. I think that bigger cutting there, that's got a little green leaf, but you know, I don't pretend to think that's going to make it. So we'll see. I'll follow this, see which of these continue to grow, but I think we've got pretty stunted growth there, and I'll be surprised if I get any more than 2 out of all that ones that I did. So, you know, we should have better news, but hey, cuttings are like this because, you know, the year before I did the same thing with Japanese maples, and I had 50%, and they're growing nicely now. Same thing with Satsuki azaleas. I've had at least 67% strike rate with those, and obviously you'll know with Chinese elm and stuff like that, well, I only have to look at them and the cuttings strike. So yeah, but anyway, not great news, but I have found year to year changes. It's not really the method, it's just whatever the micro conditions are like. So hey, not everything's great in the bonsai retreat. Now, just because I've done that experiment in the early spring, I think I've mentioned to you I take cuttings all through the year, and I find a lot of my success happens around the post-hardened pruning stage, which is end of May, early June. So I've definitely done some more trident maples, other stuff, and I'll just show you where I put them, and we'll follow them as well through the year. But also, then there's just my general cuttings bin, so to speak. Show you that in a minute. In here I've got larch, Chinese elm, Japanese maple, more Chinese elm, and now trident maples. I normally have the bottom of this tray just got a little bit of water in it. Keep the vents closed to try and keep a good bit of humidity on top, and I'll just keep an eye on them as I go through. If I think there needs water in there, I'll put some in. But otherwise, I just watch and wait. Sometimes if it gets too bad, I can open up the humidity vents, but generally I just keep them closed. So I suppose that's what I call my technical cuttings process, which, as you've already guessed, is probably 50-50 hit at best of times. Let's see how I got my most success though, shall we? And what I always do. Yeah, as I've sort of indicated in many videos, I normally have just a straightforward planting tray. All it's got is in a standard cuttings compost mix, straight from the garden centre. Already got a couple of trident maples, which I was doing a little bit of pruning this morning on this, which again started off life as a cutting. So I will literally fill that up over the next week or two, probably show you what it looks like when it's full, and then again we'll have a look and see at the end of the year how just standard no care whack it in a bit of soil works out. And as you can see, what I concentrate on, I'm going to have all the trident maples to this sort of side, and then continue Chinese elms to this side, because they're going to be my future bonsais. They're the easiest to grow, and the cuttings normally do the best, and they're also very sellable. So here we are, it's the 28th of April, probably a couple of months and a year on from when I took these cuttings. And truthfully, it's been painful, as you've probably guessed and seen. You already got a good feel for the results. So in terms of whether it was Coco Coir, I've only got 2 pots left of the Coco Coir. I don't think we've got anything at all on that stick. So that's a dead end. And we've got one here, which still is desperately trying to hold on to life. It's got one little leaf on there. And bear in mind how many I took in Coco Coir. I took 25, 30. We've got one little sick one coughing its way through. So, okay. And I know this isn't a reflection about what Gary was suggesting. Again, microclimate, massive difference. And again, even year to year, things can be different for me. So I got one using Gary's method, and you know, let's not pretend that my method at that point for the late winter cuttings was much better. Well, I think again I've got 3 more here. This one, I've managed to produce 3 really decent kindling sticks, so we'll keep those for the fire. And there is one, again, we've got another little one in there that's desperately trying to hang on to life. It's been like that for nearly a year. So in fact, the little spider that's on the other side is doing better than the cutting. But you know what? It's in a pot, it's on its own, we'll leave it, see what happens. And then, again, we've got another one here, which has got some zeolite on. And I know at some point through the year, nah, these are different. I've lost it. That's basically all I've got left from those 30 or so cuttings I took. The grand total of 2, 1 and 1. So Gary, we're working equally as bad in terms of methods. Well, also along the way, I thought what I'd do is take some later in the year and I'd just use my method. And the method I've used all the time, which is basically take a cutting and stick it in the dirt. And there's absolutely nothing special about that. Now, I've actually had an awful lot better results. And I think you'll see, even these, we've got one, potentially, we've got a few sticks, but we've definitely got some sticks, but even those are sticking in the ground. I'll have taken those sometime in May or June. We've got 2, they're actually Japanese maples, and I really do struggle with Japanese maples. I've got 2 there. And you saw that in June, I took some more trident maple, I took some Japanese maple. In fact, no, these are the Japanese maple I took 2 years ago, so I should probably, actually, we'll have a look at the roots on those. Or will we? They're actually doing really well in there. I might leave them a bit. I put some more cuttings in. Again, we've got 1, 2 Japanese maples, which, well, they're definitely seeming all right. We've got a stick in there, which we'll remove the stick. And we've got this one here, which has got some buds, but I have a funny feeling it's, well, we may be all right. It's got some swelling buds, so that could be all right. It's still got a lovely rich red colour. The Japanese larch, we've got, bear in mind that's June last year, we're now well on our way. Got one dead stick, but that's still holding in quite firmly, as is that. But we've got a lot of green, and I said to you before, I've probably only had 2 successful large cuttings. Well, here at the moment, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, probably 7 out of the 10 I took last June. And you know that I also do Ginkgo cuttings. I've got 3 successful Ginkgo. And again, you'll have also seen already that I went looking around at my Dawn Redwoods. So if I was going to be really brutally honest, in fact, let's do the final clincher on what I think is the true secret, the easiest and best method for taking bonsai cuttings. Because if you look down between my legs, you're going to see something growing there that will probably surprise you.
I'd rather not.
Yeah, I've just pulled it up, and you remember me filling this up. It was in a great video. Again, for those of you who watch my channel, you'll have seen this, and you probably thought, Zav, what's ever happened to that? Did they all die? Well, no. All the Chinese elms up this end, as expected, are absolutely thriving. And this end, I think, I didn't put more than 4 or 5 in there in the end. I put a Ginkgo, I put a Azalea, I put a Trident Maple, and I think I put another Trident Maple. And I don't think I put anything more than that in there. And out of all that, one of the Tridents appears not to have made it. But certainly, if you look at the Chinese elms, well, one didn't. No, there's one dead. Oh no, even the dead one's got something growing from the bottom. And I think that's something I'll say to you. Don't be too quick to throw away your sticks, because sometimes the sticks come back and surprise you the following year. If you give them a tug and they don't come out, well, there's either some witch stick rub down there holding them down desperately for dear life, or there might actually be a root there. I think I've got to say it. The most successful technique for cuttings for future bonsai has got to be my method. Cut it any time of the year, basically while the sun's out. Bit of rooting hormone, if you can be bothered. If not, find a bit of old soil, stick it in there. In fact, stick loads of them in there. And leave them in a shady part of the garden and forget them. And once a year, pull the weeds out. And I guarantee you what you get in there is a good mix of decent, usable cuttings. And I think that is also the most pain-free way of doing it. I know, Yellow goes on and on about the plastic bag, or we can use humidity trays. And to be fair, I'm using humidity trays right now. And yeah, I'm going to have lots of success. I think a lot also comes down to how your weather or your microclimate's been. This year, in 2025, we've had probably one of the driest March, Aprils in a long time. And I'm finding that the trees are reacting so much better and the cuttings are reacting so much better. I've actually got this year's cuttings are looking really, really good. But whatever method you use, generally failure is actually going to come down, I think, to your microclimate. Because these things really want to live. They want to produce more trees. So honestly, you let me know in the comments what particular method you use. And all I say, implore to people, is have a look through the comments. See if there's anything that grabs your attention. But truthfully, life's too short. Make sure you've got a usable bucket or planting pot beside you when you do your pruning. Certainly the pruning that's coming up in the next week or two. And go for broke. Put as many cuttings you can, especially if they're Trident Maple, especially if they're Japanese Maple or Chinese Elm, Ginkgo, Dawn Redwood, anything that really takes your fancy. And hey, see what happens. And I challenge you, at the end of the year, send me some pictures of your successful cuttings and let's find out if there is indeed a foolproof method that even I haven't yet discovered. Now, what I will say is that I've definitely mentioned, I've looked at all the different techniques that I've employed, and I have said that I do use the system that Yella most definitely liked. And as you see here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus a 6th little baggie here, which has got a tiger bark ficus in here. This is actually the first year that I've actually really actively done this. And in this, I've basically got all the cuttings I did from my Trident Maple. And there's no doubt you get that lovely, sweaty, humid conditions that really ideally suited for cuttings. And these have been in here now for 5 weeks. So I tell you what, it's been another year on, and do you know what? Welcome back. It's 25th of January 2026. No, it's not. Yes, it is. I don't know what date it is. It'll be up on the screen anyway. And let's start reviewing some of the stuff that you've seen through this video. We'll be quick because there's not a lot to add. Needless to say, Chinese elms continue to grow strong. This spring, I'll probably take them out of here. I've also got some olives that went in there, some more Chinese elms in the middle, and all around here are a variety of, well, the azalea certainly. Looking at the azalea, that certainly looks fine. Be honest, it doesn't look like those two tridents made it. Ginkgo, that's looking good. And we've got lots and lots of buds on another azalea stick. So, do you know what? I'm not unhappy with that, because ultimately, for me, in my garden, I think it should be the same for everyone. If out of your collection, you manage to achieve two, did I say that with a high-pitched voice? Two really good cuttings at the end of the year. Well, if you've taken off 4 different species, that's 8 new trees you've got in development. If you do that each year, it won't take long before you don't need to be visiting any nursery or bonsai shop. You can use various products, you can take your time, you can do measurements, you can really control your environment. And yes, I guarantee you'll probably get better results than me. But you know what? Sometimes just poking it in the dirt actually achieves just as good results for far little effort, far little cost. And sometimes when you want to concentrate on your bonsai, not your cuttings, I think that's a good thing. So always, always have that barrel of soil or that place to poke your sticks somewhere nearby, and then forget them. But who knows, you know, because sometimes you get surprised. Oops, you get broken pots. Got roots out of the back of this. Yes, I've developed some great grass, but you know what? Right here, I have got 2 Katsura maple cuttings. In fact, 3. And there's a project that you're going to see these being used for in just a few more weeks' time. So they're good. Look, you know the Chinese elms, you know what, I can sneeze and they'll be successful. Ginkgo, easily very successful. Fuji cherry, successful. Azalea. But you've got to be prepared. There's also loads and loads of pots that I've been taking all in 2025 that, you know what, they failed. And yet when you tug on them, they're holding in. So I'll wait another year. I mean, seriously, it's hard for me to try and update individually through the year. People say, hey, how's those cuttings go that you took? You saw earlier the ones for the hawthorn. And you'll find in a lot of my videos around the sort of springtime, I'll keep saying, oh, they'll go for cuttings. Look, there's all sorts of things in here. Chinese elms, corkbark elms, a couple of tridents. Same in here. And you know, there's a video last year where I actually went through and did something with 20 or 25 of these. But you know what? If you haven't got time, leave them here and they'll just continue to grow. Just watch out that you haven't actually put some wire on some. I mean, I think the message I really give to you, I mean, some of those cuttings you probably won't ever see again. The reason why, they've died. If you don't see them, they've died. Clearly, the first thing I'll say is I don't think it's worth taking them in the sort of February time range when they're just still in the winter. I think the risk of the frosts that we get in sort of mid to late March probably kill off that time when they'll be wanting to start build some roots. So that's why I think all those failed. If you want to be making sure that your effort and efficiency is worthwhile and not turning into weeds and horrible soil, take them end of May. Do it when it's post-flush hardened pruning, when those new shoots just start to harden off, and do your cuttings then. That is probably, I'd say, 80% success rate for those species that are great for cuttings. And by the way, Adam helped wire this juniper. In fact, he did wire this juniper. We did a great video on it. It's at the end of the thing if you want to see it. And just to reassure Adam, probably, things looking pretty good. I think we're going to see some good stuff with it. Beside it is the one I did. Got some more work to do on that as well. So hopefully you've found that useful. There's loads and loads of different ways of doing cuttings. There is no, right or expert way. Your conditions, year to year change, that will affect your results. The only thing that will stop you getting any decent cuttings, I mean, look at these. These are my corkbark elms. There's loads here. You saw when I took them, and I know there's 1 or 2 people who want to be notified when I actually pull them out, which will be later this month. The only thing I will say is if you never try, then you're bound to fail. And those who are wondering about the larch, they are looking absolutely fantastic. Best success I've had with larch ever. So they were just plonked in soil when I did some cuttings, post-flush hardened pruning. Talking of larch, I know we've been doing a lot of larch, but there's such a great tree to work on this time of year. Got this one, we've got to do some demossing, a little bit of wiring. We'll be seeing that in a week or two. Apart from that, I hope you've enjoyed the 2 years I've spent putting this together. Any questions, down in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you in another week. And by the way, that is an absolutely great video to watch. Trust me, would I lie to you? All the best, happy bonsai, and God bless. Cheers.